Have you ever gotten comments like,
It's not Jinx. You must be skinny to be a good Jinx. Jinx not as fat. Jinx double XL. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Love is an open door. Yeah, so is your mouth, apparently. My first thought was she's fat now. You need to be called slurs and fat shamed properly.
so I've been cosplaying for a long time. This July, it'll be 12 years. That's a long time. I've seen a lot of fads come and go in cosplay. I've seen things change in many different ways. And in the last 5 or 6 years, I've seen a huge shift in terms of body positivity in the cosplay community, which is amazing. And then this year, I feel like I've seen a lot of that kind of go away. Fat shaming is back, baby. Fat shaming is back in a big way. And basically nobody is exempt. I come at this from a position of relative privilege. I am a very average size person. I'm not the smallest of my friends. I'm not the largest of my friends. I'm right in the middle. I have clothes that fit me that are children's size 16, and I have clothes that fit me that are women's size 12. I usually wear about a medium. I am a very average person. And I am still being called fat by strangers on the internet. Which, oh boo-hoo, cry more skinny white girl, right? But I'm not the only one. And if it's happening to me, Lord knows it's happening to my fat friends. So I took to the internet to see if this was something that other people had noticed. If it wasn't just me being overly sensitive about comments that I was getting on, specifically my Jinx cosplay, because the arcane cosplay community has a huge problem with this. Jinx is very, very skinny. I am very, very average. Obviously, I do not look exactly like Jinx. I'm aware of that, right? I'm not blind. I know what I look like. But I've seen a lot of people, as Arcane got more popular, I've seen a lot more people complaining about this, specifically Jinx cosplayers getting pitted against one another to see who was the most accurate, and usually what came down to was who was the skinniest. I've seen lots of cosplayers complaining about this, and this really kind of struck a high note for me when I opened TikTok, and the first video that was on my For You page was this. Now I've blurred out the creator's face and name because I don't want anyone to send hate to this person. I don't know who this person is. I don't know anything about this person. And I know that this is probably rage bait. I know this is probably engagement farming, but I think it's indicative of a bigger problem within the arcane cosplay community specifically, and the cosplay community as a whole. Because fat shaming has gotten so much more prevalent over the last year in particular. After seeing this video, I got kind of a bee in my bonnet. Am I 800 years old? A bee in my bonnet? Am I a grandmother? Oh, I got a bee in my bonnet. Anyway, I took to my Instagram stories and posted a poll for my followers asking if they had ever been fat shamed in cosplay. And the answers were kind of staggering. Obviously, this was a small selection of people who self-selected to answer. So this is not the most scientific poll in the world, but the answers are still, that's a really high number. So obviously, it's not just me. Some of my friends and followers also swiped up on the story to talk about some of their specific experiences. So, preserving their anonymity, I'm going to read some of their responses to you. One of my mutuals swiped up on the story and said, "It's the main reason why I don't post reels on this app. Every time I would post one, especially if it's a cosplay that shows my face, I would get flooded with comments fat shaming me. It's also the main reason why I dread my videos getting traction on TikTok. Once I have a video get over 1K, I archive it because 99% of the time, that's when my comments start to get flooded about my size. A lot of my most popular videos aren't public anymore because of fat shaming. I also got fat shamed in person for cosplay before, and that one hit me like a pile of bricks because it was someone I used to be friends with. There are characters that I would love to cosplay, but I don't, simply because of the fear of the fat phobia that runs rampant in the community. It's sad, but sometimes my weight is a factor over how I cosplay a character and if I'll cosplay said character to a convention. I unfortunately have a lot of cosplay related fat shaming stories, and it's unfortunately had an effect on who I cosplay and how I present myself in person and online.
Fat shaming in the community is also why I haven't branched out to YouTube quite yet. It's a combo of my own personal insecurities and how people in the community act. Another of my friends swiped up and said, I think that people about weight in general have just gotten so much meaner with all this Ozempic stuff and everything, and so much of body positivity just going back on itself. People are just so mean, and half the time, like you said, it's not even applicable. And I just truly think it's the most insecure people because 9 out of 10, you don't even see a picture of them on their profile. And I said that there are absolutely fat shaming cosplayers, but most of the comments I see are either from children or adult men who do not cosplay. And my friend responded, Yep. Like kids, especially, will find a way to be mean on the internet no matter what. But when it looked like TikTok was being banned, I was kind of happy because I think it's helped contribute to people just being too content with being mean online.
But again, I am an average size, relatively skinny person. So for me to sit here and talk about this by myself, I'm not the best person to talk about this. So I brought my wonderful friend, Vixie Pixie Cosplay, to talk about her experiences with fat shaming in the Disney cosplay community and the cosplay community at large. Before we get into the interview, I want to introduce you to today's sponsor.
Today's video is sponsored by HyperX. HyperX sent me their Cloud 3 wireless headset for a review, and I was blown away by how incredibly comfortable it was. When I was wearing it, I actually forgot I was wearing a headset because it's so squishy and comfortable. It doesn't really feel like there's anything on your head. It has a battery life that lasts for up to 120 hours, which is double the amount of most average gaming headsets available on the market, and features a microphone that can actually be removed, which I think is super cool when you're not at your computer, you're not trying to talk to anyone, it's not in the way. You can just listen to music or stream something while you're working on a project. Be sure to use code LizzieMoth-15 for 15% off any HyperX product, or use the QR code the next time you're purchasing.
Hi, Vicky. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited. My first guest. Huzzah.
For the
Uh,
first time, kind of in person, kind of
kind of
virtually.
kind of in person. We became mutuals when I think I duetted a Daphne video of yours on TikTok during the
There you go.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That
it's been
feels like both a lifetime and yesterday.
oh yeah, it feels like yesterday and also like 20,000 years ago. But I'm so glad that I did. I your content's always super fun and
Yours
I
is
love how
too.
unafraid of talking about politics. I think it's good to have people who are willing to go there in cosplay spaces who aren't afraid to talk about politics and talk about important issues while also having fun in our silly little hobby. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about how you got into cosplay,
Yeah.
all of that.
So I have cosplay now for 10 years. It's going to be 11 in this year, 2025. Um, I actually kind of stumbled in on it on accident. I wasn't the sewer in the family. My sister would sew dresses and different things. Like I knew how to sew, but I was like, okay, whatever. Like I'll do this pillowcase every once in a while and I'll learn how to read a pattern. And then she was like, hey, I'm making this green dress and I have this extra fabric. And it was about a year after Frozen came out. So we thought, what if we made Anna's coronation dress and then we could get some other fabric and make her an Elsa dress? So we did. And we took some pictures and then that was kind of my first cosplay that I didn't know was
That's
a
so
cosplay.
cute.
And this is the first time making a costume outside of Halloween. Um, didn't go to a con, did not know that Comic Cons existed at this point, even though I'm doing basically a cosplay. Go to college the next year or something around that time period. And then my roommate is like, hey, so there's a thing that's coming into town. It's called Rose City Comic Con. Would you like to go with me?
Sure.
I think she dressed up as some character from like Black Butler, and we like got all excited. And
It's always
you know,
someone who's
she
into
was
Black Butler who gets you into cosplay. That's always how it starts. You cannot. It's a canon event. I've never seen an episode of
not
Black
know this.
Butler. Never seen it. I don't know anything
No
about it, but
idea,
I know that.
no idea about this at all. But like, think picture like two broke college students scrimping and saving Like, I got this cheap wig. We scrimped and saved for 1 day at Comic-Con. We're like, we're gonna go 1 day. That's what we can afford. And then I wear my auto dress because that's what I have. And buy the little wig and like put the braids up and then we go to con. It's a year or so after Frozen, so big hype.
Sure.
All the little girls are just like, "Oh my gosh, it's Anna!" I don't know how many pictures, how many moms' phones I am in for pictures of their little girls and little boys that were just like, "Oh, you are Anna! Oh my god!"
I love
And
that.
that was it. I was hooked from that moment. I'm like, that
100%.
there it is. No going back now.
Speaking of
So I
Anna,
was just,
you recently had a video that went very viral of your
you
Anna
might have seen
cosplay.
that.
Actually, you might have seen it.
I mean, it's crazy. What? I'm not getting copyright struck because I'm singing it myself. Because love is an open door.
So this video got, you said 13 million views.
Million, and that's just on Instagram. On TikTok, I've accumulated about like 3 or 4 more million.
So what do you think about that video took off in particular, or what made you want to make that video? Where did all of that come from, do you think?
So there's a couple things, and I wanted to remake my first ever cosplay, my Anna coronation Anna. So I decided to use my accumulation of skills from 10 years. Like I learned corsetry, I learned how to properly finish my seams. I learned all of these different skills. So I'm like, I'm going to put it all in a beautiful, gorgeous dress and say that is my 10-year anniversary cosplay. It went viral for two reasons. One that I like is my skill set. The other that I don't like, but is inevitable, that, 10 years later, I gained some weight. Yeah, I did. I'm fat now.
You've had two kids. You went from being a
I
college
had two
student
kids.
to an adult. Bodies change. It's very normal for your
They
body to
just do.
change over 10 years, but
They just
apparently
do.
people don't understand how that works.
No,
So
and it is a big problem.
it is a big problem. And in addition to a lot of wonderful, lovely new followers, a lot of great support, you've gotten a lot of, let's go with unpleasant, unhelpful feedback.
So when you get 13 million views, you get thousands and thousands of comments, and not all of them are nice. Um, they're just not pleasant, and they all are commenting, which I didn't ask for, about my body, which is perfectly fine.
It's a
So good.
perfectly normal body. It does what perfectly normal bodies do. It looks like a perfectly normal body.
Just saying. I went,
That's it.
I
Full
was
stop.
I was a size 2, and now I am about an 18 to 20. I'm okay to share my size on the internet. That is fine. Also, because I wasn't really a healthy teenager. I wasn't skipping meals because I was in college. Like, I am so much healthier now. I am on medications for my mental health, physical health. Like, this is a healthy body, y'all.
Yeah. You know, there's, I think that Annie Chung is the brand, and it's like a microwavable bowl of white rice. I would get one of those for lunch, eat half of it, put the rest of it in the fridge, and eat the other half for dinner. And that was my meal. Was both
It's
one
just
thing, two meals. And I was
I don't know
full.
how our bodies survive,
I
but
try to like imagine doing that now, and I'm like, I would die. I would become evil. No one would
please.
be able to speak to me until I had eaten like three children to fill the void of that the bowl of rice. What was I doing?
It's not even about the food, because a lot of the comments are like, "Oh my gosh, you keep eating so much. Why did you eat the other girl? Why
One
don't
of
you
my
eat?"
favorite things that I've seen, like, you have some amazing clapbacks. You are not afraid to give it back to the haters. I think my favorite one of yours was you just responded to the person, "I'm eating you next."
I made a whole clapback video. If you want to go check that out.
She ate Elsa, Sven, and the moose. There was a moose in Frozen. Gained a whole new person. Two, actually. Kid's a rough fan. The addition of two, your mom and your dad. It was a fun night. Can you fit through the door? Walks through your front door. I guess so. I wasn't expecting you to reply. Well, I'm here now. In your house. So, awkward. Would you mind leaving?
There are a few responses you could do to haters, and it all depends on where you are in your mental health journey. If you need to get that anger out and just, I mean, Meta is a little bit easier right now to clap back at people and not get super flagged. If they're not going to get flagged for fatphobic comments,
You're
you
not
can
gonna get
clap back
flagged
at
for
the
saying you're
haters.
gonna eat them. You're
Yeah,
gonna be fine. Yeah.
if that's good for your mental health. Otherwise, there are a couple of other things that you can do for your mental health, because not everyone is there in that journey. And it can be very taxing to have, especially like thousands and thousands of people telling you, um, hey, you're fat and therefore you are worthless. So you can completely turn off comments. That's okay for you to do. Or you can limit the comments. Like, I limited the comments right now to just people who follow me and who I follow. So sometimes people sneak through because they have so much hatred in their hearts that they go on another video or another post and like comment like, "Wow, you have so much time for me. Okay, hi." Um, that's how I deal with that, because, you know, I'm on their mind and I like to haunt people's minds too.
Period. I think one thing that is so interesting about people taking the time out of their day to write a hate message is that, one, if you don't like something, why don't you just scroll past? When I see something I don't like, I just scroll past it. You are like training the algorithm that you want to
You
interact with
are.
more of that kind of content. And you are training the algorithm that that is content that should be interacted with
That
more.
you
You are
like.
pushing that content out to the
Mm,
rest of the internet, and you are pushing more content like that, either from that creator or similar content,
yes.
into your own feed. You you are doing the opposite of what you think you're doing. And I know that on YouTube in particular, and some other apps I believe as well, it has been proven that videos that are controversial or that have a lot of like negative pushback, negative like dislikes on YouTube are more likely to get pushed out more than ones that are entirely positive. You are not helping. You
Like,
if you don't want people to see the video, scroll past it. Don't take the time to write a hate
do
message. It's
anything.
not
Don't
helping.
do anything. Ah, yes. That's why I do go on arguments that go on for several comments sometimes, and I'm like, this is costing me nothing. But your page, you're gonna see more videos, and it's going to be fantastic. And I'm gonna live rent free in your mind. And it's
You cannot
great.
escape me.
Yes. Or another, if you don't want to argue, say whatever random crap that first comes to your mind and out weird them. It doesn't even matter. That you'll still get your engagement up. They'll be like, "Why are you saying you will curse me and my children? What is going on?"
I don't know, why are
Out
you commenting on
outdo
my
your
body?
haters.
Like, I love that you just do not care. You are. I think that's beautiful. I mean, on the one hand, it's sad that you have to address the situation with that. Please don't think that I'm like, oh, it's so awesome that you're sassy. I think that it's really good, especially if you're poised as you kind of are right now as a role model to newer cosplayers, or just because so many people have seen your video, people outside of the community as well. You are poised as someone who kind of has the unique opportunity in this moment of being able to be a positive example of
Guide them.
self-love. And I think it's sad that you have to be that, but also how wonderful that you are able to be that. Does that make sense? Does that sound patronizing?
Does no, it does not, because
Okay.
I've had this conversation with myself too of like, this is so weird because suddenly I'm in this position where I gained at least 1,000 followers from this video, at more, I am sure. And I'm like, oh, so many people are looking for guidance, and they'll even, I notice in the replies to my stories, I notice in all this, they're like, oh, I did this because of you. I'm like, okay, okay. I've got to take more responsibility for what I post on the platform and how I do things, why I do things, and explaining that to them. So that's it is a bit of a responsibility that I didn't know that was going to happen, but I take that and I am grateful for that, and it is also scary. It's also like, okay, we're gonna we're gonna try our best, and I'm not gonna be perfect. And if
No one ever
anything that I
is.
say, if anything that I say does not feel right to you, don't do it, please. The end all be all, please don't. You don't want to fight the haters. Don't. Don't do that. One other thing that I do if you're getting a lot of hate comments, especially on your body, I asked friends to comment nicer things, or I'll screenshot the comments that I love the most. Like, you cannot make me cry from hate comments, but the people who have commented, you look like one of those Grecian goddesses. I'm like, what? Tears. Keep those screenshots, keep them in a little folder, and read them whenever you feel like, this is getting me down. This is so shitty. You don't have to hate on people. You can follow. You can lead with positivity if you want to.
I think neither one is wrong. We tend to fall into extremes of being like, if you fight fire with fire, you're wrong, and if you fight fire with water, then you're also wrong. Like,
You're
you can
weak.
do
You're
both.
whatever.
You can
Yeah,
do both.
whatever you feel like in that moment is going to be helpful for you, for your mental health, for your physical health, whatever.
Do you think that a lot of the fat phobic commentary and ideas that you are seeing, specifically related to cosplay, are coming from within the cosplay community or outside from people who are not cosplayers but are consuming the content? Because from my perspective
Oh
at
yeah.
least, several years ago, especially in the Disney cosplay community, it was very much an internal thing. But with TikTok and how the social media landscape and cosplay has changed in the last 5 or so years, for me at least, I've noticed that that seems to have shifted to outside, and maybe that's because I've diversified in media. I tend to get a lot of very hateful comments on my Jinx cosplay because Jinx is, an emaciated teenager, and I am an adult woman with a very average body.
Not.
But I've noticed a lot more acceptance within the community and a lot more pushback outside of the community, but I don't know if that's just because I'm cosplaying from a video game. I don't know if that's because I used to primarily cosplay from Disney. I don't know what that is, so I was curious to see if you had any insight on that.
See that? I do see that too. That it is. I mean, especially from this super big video, that most of my hate comments were from people who don't. You like, go here. You cosplay. Why are you commenting on this? It seems like the cosplay community especially has been more of a safe haven for it. Definitely needs so much work. Let me put that out there. But it is more so a safe haven. You're not gonna see a normal Joe walking down the street in an Anna cosplay. You just aren't. You know
Are
that
you
that's
saying I'm
a
not
nerd.
normal?
No, and I'm not either, and that's a good thing. That's fine. But I think that since we've created our little cosplay group, I feel like there's slightly more acceptance.
My running hypothesis here is that a lot of the people who are focused on external factors not related to the costume and like the content itself, people who care about the body type, people who care about like whether your face looks a certain way, I feel like the majority of people that I have seen who are more invested in that than does your wig look right? Are the
Yeah,
details there? It's the difference between people who don't really know what goes into making a cosplay or what goes into the process of cosplay and people who do.
but they're
That's
the
my
watchers,
running hypothesis. Yeah, but it feels
right?
to me like a lot of the people who are commenting this are either children or gooners. Some of the comments that I see are so deeply like rooted in a weird pornified misogyny that just does not feel like you've ever seen or touched a woman in real life. Not
If you
everyone,
are misogynist
but they're
IRL, you're probably
there.
going to be especially misogynist to cosplayers because you think that they're objects performing your little fantasies instead of nerds dressing up in their fun, happy place. Unfortunately, the kids thing is so right, though.
How would you say, for better or for worse, your relationship with your body or your fear of other people's responses or both has influenced your choice of characters that you cosplay or cosplays that you choose, and has that changed over time?
I have been careful to, like, not really careful for choosing plus size characters, but I'm more aware of it. I'm like, oh, I was wearing a Regency dress, and people were like, "That's Penelope." I'm like, just wearing a Regency dress, and you chose the one character that is like she's
Yeah.
drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's not exactly what I was portraying, but that you see it because I'm a bigger bodied person. I'm really aware of like how people see me because I won't shy away from the plus size cosplays that I could do. I'm like, yes, body positivity in media, in everything, and I do want to cosplay Penelope. I know what people are thinking. It's like sometimes it is good, sometimes it is okay, but well-meaning of like the Penelope content comments when I'm not even trying to dress as Penelope. Um, but it has, and I know people aren't thinking clear. They're not. They're saying things without thinking about their full impact. But I think we do need to start thinking about that a little bit more with your friends who are in minority groups because I love my body now. It can lose weight and go to 5 sizes smaller. I'll love it. It can go 5 sizes bigger. I will love it. It is amazing. But I didn't always like it is hard to be a larger person in especially a cosplay space because a lot of if I want to buy a pre-made costume, usually they only go up to an extra 2XL. Sometimes their 2XL fits more like a large or a medium. It's just so many people out of the pre-made cosplays and makes them so much less accessible.
There's
So
an additional barrier to
really wrong.
entry for plus size cosplayers because if you don't know how to make your stuff or don't have a friend who can or don't have the money to commission someone, you're kind of SOL.
I was doing this group, and everyone was getting their cosplays, and they were like, "Oh, hey, so there's this sale going on Amazon, and you all can get your cosplays really cheap." And I piped into this chat of like, "No, I can't because they don't go up to my size. All of you can get it, but I can't." And that's something that also comes back to I need everyone else who is not plus size in the community to have slightly more awareness of when you are inviting your plus size friends to a space where you're collaborating, make sure that it is friendly for them.
I think in a lot of ways the impetus does fall on, as with any minority group and non-minority group or out group and in group, because with gender and body size it's not always a minority thing, but it's up to the people who are in the in group to
Yeah.
watch how they say, like how they talk about and how they interact with people who are in the out group, saying things like, oh, I look so flabby, I look so bad, I'm gonna have to get the shaper to tuck this in. There's nothing wrong with wanting to smooth stuff out, because
Yeah.
personally, I like wearing shapewear under clingy clothing because I don't like how
Yeah.
things can look lumpy under certain lighting,
Yeah.
just to prevent
Like
like weird shines and stuff. But
these are so valid.
if I then turn around and I'm like, I need shapewear because I look fat, that's one, incredibly hurtful to my friends and colleagues who are larger. Like, that's creating a negative self-talk loop where I'm associating how I look and
Yep.
how I feel
It's
with being fat,
perpetuating.
with being bad, and it's just going to keep going.
It is perpetuating the idea that you need to look a specific way to be valued, and it's not okay. It's okay to have insecurities. It's okay to be like, I don't really like how my arm looks. That's Don't be like, oh, I hate how fat my arm is, and then
Yeah.
turn around and be like, oh,
Oh,
but you're
you're
here.
fine. Oh, hi, you fat person.
Well,
Sorry.
I,
I didn't. Well, not. I don't mean it about you. That's always the
the
thing too. It's like, well, it's not about
thing,
you. Okay,
the
but
thing
it
that I
kind of
hate is
is though.
the you're not fat, you're beautiful.
Why
Oh,
can't you be both?
so
You can be both. You are
so
both.
beauty is subjective.
So
Everyone is
subjective.
beautiful in their own way. Like even people who aren't aesthetically
Conventionally
pleasing.
attractive. Is there anything else
Yeah.
that you wanted to talk about? Let's go.
I have a couple of thoughts about like how you can be more accommodating to your fat friends,
Sure.
and that's I turned conversation to hit the other points too. So yeah, I just wanted to go over like, hey, when you're in a group, especially in cosplay, let's make sure to have the cosplay accessible and be mindful that maybe your fat friend might have to get things custom made. Like I had to do with certain cosplays or make them myself, that I cannot just go out and grab something from the rack or order something online. So if you're expecting a really quick turnaround, it might not be done. I can't always borrow other people's clothes if they're smaller than me.
That almost
And
feels
you're
passive
looking,
aggressive.
it feels like body
Yeah.
checking. So if
Yeah.
you are someone who does this and someone who sees this as not harmful, I'm asking you gently to look at it in a different light as, hey, that's kind of rude because in no universe am I going to fit in your small, extra small
Yeah.
sweater or cosplay bodysuit or whatever. I had a friend who was ordering us matching jackets and she double checked the size for me. Even that tiny interaction, instead of, oh yeah, I ordered an extra large, just checking before you do something. It just means the world. I can't find cosplay boots that fit
Mm. Yeah.
very often.
Wide calf
So
boots. It's
sometimes
hard to
I'm
find
not.
wide calf boots in any style, let alone cosplay. Yeah.
So don't expect I'm gonna alter it a lot of the times. I need you to not expect me to have everything perfect and pristine and
Cookie cutter
accurate in the
factory.
cosplay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I need to make alterations. That's what I have available to me. And until the landscape of store bought and other accessible cosplays get more accessible to my size and beyond, because it doesn't stop at my size, then we're gonna have to accommodate, and that's okay.
I also think that half of the fun of cosplay is putting your own interpretations on things, even when you're striving for
Mm,
100% accuracy. Even if you're going for that 100% accuracy, it's still your interpretation of accuracy. So there's still going to be things in there that are like little touches of yourself. And I think that when you have a group and everyone has their own individual touch on whatever it is, I think that's a lot more memorable, either as the like consumer of the content or as the person participating, than if everyone is wearing the exact same thing that they bought on Amazon. It's not as
beautiful.
exciting. Add a couple rhinestones to it, just something, and that's,
It's yes.
yeah.
Embrace your differences.
Thank you again for hanging out with me and answering my questions and being my first interviewee. For people who are watching who may not have known who you were before, or who are interested in seeing your content and your art in the future, where can they find you? Is there anything you want to promote? What's going
Oh
on
my
in the
gosh.
world of you that you want to direct the viewer here to, where they can find you?
Oh my gosh, I'm on most things as Vixie Pixie Cosplay. I'm on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky and Red Note, and I'm at least claiming my username in as many
Yeah.
places as I could think. Also, I'm on Twitch, but that one is the only one that is a different name. Pride and Prejudice 9. Not a lot of big things happening, which is okay because this is my postpartum year for baby number 2. So I am sitting back.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy mom schedule to talk to me. And
You.
yeah, thank you so much again, and have a wonderful night.
I hope that my conversation with Vicky was enlightening or at least entertaining. And if you're a cosplayer who is a plus size cosplayer, a mid size cosplayer, an average size cosplayer, even a skinny cosplayer, and you're dealing with body shaming, fat shaming, you're not alone. But hopefully we've come up with a couple of ways to fight it in our little corners of the internet. Thank you again to HyperX for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to use code LizzieMoth-15 at checkout on any HyperX products that aren't already on sale. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep cosplaying. If you're too fat for a character, who cares? That isn't the point. Do you care about the character? Did you make something you're proud of? That's what matters. Have fun. We're all playing dress up. It's not that serious. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment, like, subscribe if you feel so inclined. If you want to see more collaborations like this, let me know in the comments. And please, again, give some love to my wonderful collaborator, Vicky. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Mwah!